Hi, this is Ryan with bettertattooing.com, and today we're going to be giving you a little bit of help with your line work. All right. Okay, now that's over with. Just to kind of elaborate on this a little bit, we've been making videos for a little bit now, and we're deciding to shift our focus instead of trying to be just givers of information, like proper educating now. We want to really make sure that people are getting this stuff. And rather than showing you how to do something tactily with an image and you can watch us running lines and all the stuff we're trying to replicate it, we'd rather that we give you a concept and go out so that you can go out and just try it, right? Adapt it to you and how you're doing stuff, because as we know in this industry, like everyone that we work with is different. Everyone has different skin, different ages, they're different everything, right? So trying to tell you that there is a one-size-fits-all way of fixing something or making things better or doing it perfectly is not correct, right? Because every single person is different, even if the substrate or substance we're working on the skin of a human being can kind of generally be the same across the species. So this led us to doing some shorter videos just about identifying issues with your different techniques that you're doing, how to spot them, and then how to fix them, right? So we're saying line work today. This is number one. So the first one we're going to be doing here, I actually know how to start this stuff. It's like you can't multitask, you know, there's some like thinking and trying to write at the same time. We do all of these off the cuff, like no script, no nothing, just sit down, give you advice, and then go from there. So we're going to do this ones, right? Number one today is going to be leaky lines. So leaky lines. What are leaky lines? When you see a tattoo that's healed, and maybe we can grab an example or two, put them up right now. Leaky lines are these aspects of the design where you see after it's healed, there's a bit of an occlusion or ghostiness. It almost looks like a blowout to one side of the line versus the other. And what we're going to try to do here, I mean, now that you can see it, right, is identify why they happen and how to fix it, right? So back to me here now. Leaky lines are, say we're doing a tattoo on, this is more evident on like thinner skin places, top of feet, back of hands, collarbones, stuff like this, but it can occur anywhere on the body depending on how your machine is running or what type of machine you're using. When you initially do the tattoo, the line looks perfect, right? Like, dang, that was a good tattoo. But when you come back, let's use another color here to differentiate this stuff. What you do is you see a bit of a haziness on one side of the line. The other side of the line can look absolutely perfect, right? But this one side of the line is just a little bit not clean or crisp. So this occurs, and you're going to see it on one side of or the other, depending on the person and how they work. It's usually going to be dominant hand, influenced, right? Influenced. What does that mean if you're right-handed or left-handed? You're going to see the line shift one way versus the other. So what happens is when you're coming in to do your line, let's say we're doing this, we're right-hand dominant, it's to watch our needle, because we're always told, which you don't have to watch your needle realistically, you have to watch your tube when you're doing this stuff, but we're watching our needle and we have it tipped over very, very far, so when we're running this, we can see the line while we're doing it. When we give it a wipe and it looks clean. But what's happening is underneath the skin, when we're doing this, our needle is coming in at such a steep angle, it's depositing a lot of pigment here initially. I will say, like, this is the epidermis, and we'll do the dermis, same skin model that we always use, right? That it comes in at the steep angle, it deposits a lot of it here through injection or hydraulic motion, or both, which we'll go over that. It's actually both, but whatever. And it's creating additional trauma down through the skin, right? So while the pigment's getting caught in the top layer of the dermis here and it's settling and it looks absolutely fantastic, what happens is when it heals, the body's forced to remodel these wounds, right? And when it remodels it doesn't do it very effectively. It's just kind of like throwing a bunch of, repairing things into the space to heal it up as quickly as possible, because having a wound isn't, good for the body. And what ends up happening as well, as the inflammation decreases, the skin comes back down, some of this ink is going to migrate down and fill into that trauma space that you have there, right? Which is going to lead to this ghosting effect as it heals. And this is going to just get more and more prominent the longer that the tattoo is on the body and the older that the person gets. If you have a ghosted tattoo that's like this and you're in your 20s, you know, by the time you're in your 50s, the line's going to be huge because the skin's going to thin and that migration of the pigment is going to be forced further into this scar tissued area, right? So how do we fix it? That's pretty simple. You just need to adjust your angle a bit more, right? We're trying to keep the trauma into a relatively small space, not stretch it out over something that's bigger, right? So that's one. If you can't do it, if you're not comfortable with it, the other thing that you can do is pay attention to how you're running your lines. If you have a design and you know that I want to keep a clean edge on one side, right? And I don't care about this side. This side can be the messy side. Make sure that you're always pointing your needle into the messy side when you're working. If it's a spot where you're gonna be putting shading or color or whatever, right? You can end up covering it up with that side. So you still have super clean line work on one side, and this stuff that ends up bleeding out and under may blend with some of the things that you're doing on this side, but if you know that ahead of time, you can kind of plan for it, right? Like I'm using a purple or something like this. I know that this edge on that line is gonna be dark purple, so it kind of works in your favor. But at the same time, if you do go to clean up these lines because you've had this steep angle, you gotta be wary because you already have existing trauma just from doing the line work that's gonna be further out, right? So you may have a harder time packing that color along those lines because the skin's already chewed up underneath, not on top. You can't see it. So easiest way, leaky lines, fix it. Just pick up your hand a little bit, reposition your body so you can see your needles if you need to look at them, and then yeah, think about pushing that ink towards the messy side. That's it for today. This is Ryan from bettertattooing.com signing off.